Welcome to Animator Tech. This is Terry Kalinich, and I'm going to continue a part 2 video on the UI and animation workflow tips. This is specifically dealing with your image plane on a camera and different features that you would want to know about in order to achieve certain tasks. So in this situation, this scene is more like how a visual effects situation would occur, and that is you would receive from a tracking department a camera move and a layout. So everything is provided for you in that case, and with this layout will come an image plane. And this image plane would be something shot on set or in some environment and something live action. And of course, your goal as an animator is to add some CG elements to mix with the live action. So the first thing we're going to do here is we're going to load an image plane, but we're going to load an actual movie file rather than an image sequence. This is something that has been in Maya for a few years, but I just want to show how to do that as a movie file, just in case you you didn't know how to do that. So first thing we do is we want to select our camera. You can just go right here, select camera, and so that highlights it here in the outliner. And we'll go right down all the way here to movie. So there's image plane, that's for an image sequence, or one still, and this is for a movie. Okay, we're going to use this path for our movie, and we're going to open that, and there we go. So now we have this movie sequence. Now what it did was, see, notice I'm at frame 100 here. It actually loaded the movie file with the offset. So just so you know that if you want to shift the frames of your movie sequence to the right, which means you want earlier frames to show as your first frame on camera, you need to shift everything to the right. But with the offsets, you have to use a negative value in order to shift to the right. So it's kind of a reverse thinking, just so you know. Anyway, so it's handy that it did put the first frame where my current frame is. So that saves some time. So anyway, we just have a rough track here. This is just something I just did on the fly. So what we want to do here is I'm going to go to a secondary perspective camera here. And notice, so here's the camera, and there's the image plane. So notice the image plane is really far away. So there's going to be many times where you're going to want to change that depth on where that image plane is. So to do that, if you had this clicked off, here's how you find it again. Go to your camera, and you can see it right here in your tabs. And so in this case, we're going to change the depth. We just need to scroll down here, and we can find it right here. So let's do 20. Watch what happens in the perspective view. So it got smaller, but from the camera's perspective, it's the same size. That's simply because it's like a cone of your angle, your camera angle. So as the camera, as things go farther away, this edge gets wider and wider and wider. So that's the reason why the image plane got smaller as it got closer. So what that does for us here is now it makes it closer to these poles, which I just arbitrarily decided that they're part of the scene, and there's some sort of interaction that's needed. Now, the other thing you're going to come across is, well, I have this image plane and it's in the appropriate depth, but I want to see through it as well. So I can see the CG elements and the image plane at the same time. So to do that, we just scroll up to the top and we decide whatever transparency level we want. So now we can see both things here, CG elements and the image plane together. So that helps us integrate things a little bit easier. One last thing I'll show you about image planes is that there will be many situations where you need to focus on a certain region of your image plane in order to create maybe a very, very accurate interaction from a character or a prop to a plate. So the best way to do that, of course, is to zoom right in to that region, and then you can work on that region on the plate. So to do that, we would use there's a backspace key above the return key. So I'm just going to hit it once and you'll see what happens because there's a predefined position already set. I'm going to tap it and notice it shifted. So I can now use a panning and zoom feature with that key. So I'm going to hold that backspace key and right click. And notice I can zoom in and out as much as I want. And also I can middle click with the mouse and I can pan as much as I want. So if I needed to focus on the feet here and some sort of interaction with a CG element with the plate, I can now scrub my animation and everything stays zoomed in. So this could be very handy for focusing on a region, and then of course you can play blast with this as well. So it'll keep the camera pan, and you know that it's on a pan zoom by the indicator down here. So this is very important for many interactive moments. If you need accuracy, you want that plate to look like it's interacting, this is a great way to do it. And of course, to toggle back out, we can hit that backslash key as well. So that's in a nutshell, that'll help you. This is basically a tutorial just about the image plane and some settings you can use, depth, transparency, and pan and zoom. With that said, thank you very much for your time.